Hey Eagles fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into the Eagles Report, and today we have some fresh Philadelphia Eagles news and rumors all surrounding coaching, or at least the lack thereof, and the Eagles lost to the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. There is a new report coming out of ESPN from ESPN's Chris Mortensen, where he talked about today on NFL Live about changes coming to the coaching staff in the offseason if the Eagles do not make the playoffs. Now, here's exactly what Chris Mortensen said. I'll paraphrase for you. It's kind of a long statement. He basically said, I have not spoken to the Eagles owner, Jeffrey Lurie, but I do know him very, very well, and he will not stand for the amount of losing the Eagles have had this season and the lack of accountability inside the coaching room that apparently has been going on right now in Philadelphia. And of course, ESPN's Chris Mortensen went on to say he expects dramatic coaching changes for the Eagles this offseason if they're unable to make the playoffs and make a deep run in the playoffs. Now, again, he did not say this is guaranteed. This is not concrete, Big J journalism stuff that he's sourced out, but he's just speculating here, and I would argue he's probably pretty accurate. Now, Mortensen also said this does not revolve around Doug Pederson, which I think makes a lot of sense. Doug Pederson's job is absolutely safe, regardless of how you feel about the head coach. He is just a couple of seasons removed from winning a Super Bowl. There should be no worry about Doug Pederson as the head coach, but the coordinators are going to be a problem potentially. Well, at least a problem for them, might be getting fired this offseason, starting with Mike Groh, the offensive coordinator. Remember, he was promoted internally to the OC spot whenever they let go of Frank Reich. Whenever they lost Frank Reich to the Indianapolis Colts. And Groh has had a lot of criticism this year because the Eagles' offense has been pretty bad so far despite the amount of injuries. Now, Groh can make the argument, well, hey, I don't have my top wide receiver in Deshaun Jackson. We've had injuries. We've had lack of running game. Carson Wentz has struggled. Yes, these all might be true, but he is still at the helm of a very, very potent offense with Zach Ertz, with Dallas Goedert, with a surefire offensive line, with a running game at times, and you still have decent receivers in Jeffrey and Aguilar. I know we want to rip Aguilar, we want to rip Jeffrey, we want to rip play calling. Mike Groh is the offensive coordinator for what has been a very, very lackluster offense so far this season. He's the most likely candidate to be let go this offseason in Philadelphia if they're unable to make a run here and go to the playoffs. Now, Jim Schwartz is also his name's being thrown around a little bit. Would the defensive coordinator be able to survive what could be dramatic coaching changes that ESPN has said this offseason? Now, the defense struggled mightily early. They got the secondary back fully healthy, and since then, really up until the Miami game, the past 4 weeks, they've been really, really good. They held Tom Brady to 0 touchdown passes. They essentially held Russell Wilson in check as well. The problem is the Miami game is a whole new setback for this defense, which looked completely unprepared and unable to generate any sort of pressure and get any sort of stops on the outside. Out of these two, Groh and Schwartz, I'd say that, of course, Mike Groh is a lot more likely to be the candidate to be fired. Don't be surprised if Jim Schwartz is also let go. They could go for a full clean sweep here in Philadelphia. One other name I want to throw at you guys here because I think Deuce Staley is going to be fine, the assistant coach. The one guy that everyone keeps pointing to as being a potential candidate to be let go from the Eagles coaching staff is the wide receivers coach, who is weirdly named Carson Walsh. Carson Walsh is how you say his name. It's like Carson Wentz, but not. He is the wide receivers coach, and apparently he has been defending Nelson Aguilar, defending Matt Collins, defending J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, and yet here we are. The Eagles wide receivers have regressed mightily this year, and you can argue there's been no development inside the Eagles wide receiver core as well, because a guy like Matt Collins, who who has been in the Eagles organization for a couple of years now, who showed a lot of progress in year one, used to catch deep passes from Carson Wentz. Think back to the Washington game a couple years ago. He has regressed mightily. He has not caught a pass in almost 7 straight games. They got like our J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. They drafted him over DK Metcalf. A lot of people said that was an issue from the beginning. Arcega-Whiteside has been a complete non-factor. He did have a catch for a touchdown on Sunday. At the same time, he's done absolutely nothing. So if we're talking about potential coaching changes, as the news out of ESPN is predicting, I think you go offensively, potentially defensively, maybe some secondary changes, but overall, Groh and I think Carson Walsh have to be looked at in terms of going forward for the Eagles in the 2020 season. Now, again, I see comments, I see tweets, I see people writing articles. Does Doug Pederson have to be worried about his head coaching job? Because again, people are very, very upset about the Miami Dolphins loss. Yes, a lot of that goes on Doug Pederson, but I would also argue that you cannot let go of a coach this soon after winning a Super Bowl because he is a Super Bowl winning head coach. Doug Pederson has a long leash. He has at least 3 more years in Philadelphia, and it would take 3 really, really bad years, I think, to even let him be even considered being let go. He has proven that he can coach and lead men in the NFL all the way at the highest level to the biggest games and win the biggest games. I'm not worried about Doug Pederson, but I do think a lot of people on his staff should be worried if the Eagles are unable to essentially win their final 4 games. Remember, you got the Giants, you got the Redskins, you got the Cowboys, and the Giants one more time. You got to win all 4 of them potentially to win the division and make the playoffs. Then you got to not get embarrassed in the playoffs. So these are things to keep an eye on as we go forward, but I want to get you guys this latest report from ESPN about potential coaching changes happening inside the Eagles locker room and inside the Eagles organization if they are unable to perform and make the postseason. Again, they are favored to win the NFC East despite the loss to Miami because the schedule is easier than the Cowboys, but have to wait and see overall. Let me know what you guys think. Who should be let go in the coaching staff this offseason? Who do you want to get fired? Let me know in the comments down below. Give me a thumbs up. I think the Eagles are still going to go ahead and win the division. And as always, subscribe to the Eagles Report because this is the fastest growing Eagles channel here on YouTube. Always appreciate each and every one of you for watching. All the time we have for today for the Eagles Report, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.